This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by former world title challenger and obviously now a top trainer, Michael Jennings. Michael, how you doing?
I'm good, Danny. Are you all right, mate? Yeah?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. Just wanted to catch up, really. You've obviously got a thriving gym at the moment, both amateurs and pros. I guess the best place to start would be Jack Cullen, considering a great win that he had at Fight Camp. Tell us about just first of all, I guess the idea of taking that fight, and was it kind of all upside from your point of view, given the reputation that Yildirim had come in with, who he'd fought last?
Yeah, I mean, while Jack's been with us, he boxed Doherty. He was the underdog against Doherty, and he went on to win that fight. And then obviously we thought Doherty would be a lot trickier than what he was. Southpaw, good talent to be fair, he could punch a bit. And then obviously he won that, so Eddie promised Jack a fight on the back of that, and then they offered us Yildirim. We watched Yildirim. I watched him hundreds and hundreds of times at Yildirim, and I'm thinking, like, sometimes you come up against a fighter who you watch on video and you think, I'll beat this kid. But when you're in there, they've just got that extra little bit of something, and I was wary of that because I watched Yildirim over and over thinking, I don't get what all the hype's about. I know he's massive in Turkey. He's been in with some big names like Eubank and Canelo and all the rest of it. But the more I watched him, the just more I thought he's made for Jack Cullen. The way that we had Jack Cullen boxing, if Jack was to box him on his front foot, Jack used to put all his weight on his front foot. He'd throw his jab leaning and he'd get caught with right hands over the top. So we just made a few adjustments, making sure that Jack's weight was on his back foot, so he was using his range a lot more. And it worked perfectly. He was just boxing as he should have been against someone like Yildirim. I mean, Yildirim was looking for that right hand all the time as well, and you could see him like he was actually loading the right hand up. But Jack knew it was coming because we've been working on it for so long in camp.
That fight was between middleweight and super middle. Where's Jack's future? Which division?
Super middleweight. Jack's definitely a super middleweight. He's massive at the weight anyway. He had to diet quite hard to get down to that weight for Yildirim, but he's definitely a super middleweight.
And what does the future hold for him? Because we were looking at kind of domestic titles and stuff, but now he's beaten a name like Yildirim. Does that put him further ahead on the world scene?
Yeah, I mean, we hope so. Jack's one of them kids. Honestly, when people say I'll fight anyone, Jack will fight anyone. He leaves it down to us. It's whatever comes next. I mean, he's been on a few of the Eddie Hearn cards. He's been beat on one of them, and he's won a couple. So he comes with a lot of fans. He wears his heart on his sleeves. He comes for a fight. If you let him fight, he'll just go out and have a tear up. Do you know what I mean? He has to listen, and to be fair to him, he does. He's been listening great. He's since the Yildirim fight as well. He's improved. I mean, he improved before the doctor. Then he had Doherty. He's just improving all the time. He's a good learner, to be fair. So it's just a matter of waiting. We're just waiting on. We've had some news, but obviously we can't say nothing yet. I know we're putting the carrot in front of the donkey or whatever. But we're just waiting on names.
Hold on, am I the donkey?
Or whatever you want to say.
You've got Mark Heffron as well. He's back out.
No, Mark's not. No, Mark's left us.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, well, he had 2 fights with Denzel.
Yeah.
And he got beat both times. And then he came back in the gym, and then he just said he needed. We actually got another date for him, and he had problems with his hamstring. Or his thigh. So he took a bit of time off, and then then the next thing he said he weren't going to box again. He started doing PTs, and he's back training again now. I think he's training at Joe Gallagher's, and I think he's out. I think he's out soon, actually, in Oldham.
He's out next week in Oldham, but I didn't realise he'd left you guys your gym.
Yeah, he's left us, to be fair.
All right, well, let's talk about a super middleweight who is still with you, and that's Mark Jeffers, Central Area champion, very exciting, unbeaten. What's the progression? What's the route for him?
He won an international title last time, but I would like Mark to win the English and then the British, go through that way. He's boxing on the 26th of November. We're just waiting on opponents and what have you for that. Hopefully get a win. and then we can push on from there. I managed myself for his first 10 fights because he was 18 when he turned over. He had his last few amateur fights with us. And personally, I don't think he was ready at the time when he turned over, but he said he's either going to turn professional or quit boxing. So I got my manager's license and I just took my time with him and took the right fights. You know, not all easy fights. He had some tough early fights like Anthony Fox and them. But there were fights we knew he could win, but there were also fights we knew he'd learn a lot from. You know, he'd get the rounds. He weren't going to be blasting people out in 1 and 2 rounds. It may not look as good on his record, you know, because he's not knocking kids out, but he's learned a lot from that. And now, you know, he'll get the right fights. Fight is what come to fight, and I think he'll start stopping a lot of kids.
You, of course, work with your brother very closely. How do you guys split the kind of duties or the responsibilities in the gym? Like, who does what, if you like?
We don't. We're just in it together. It's just me and Dad. You know, everyone talks more about me because obviously my past with being a professional boxer, and I think a lot of it is like a lot of the thought in camps and that probably may come from me, sort of thing. But he's just as important as me. You know, without him, I'd be knackered. Without me, he'd be knackered. So it is what it works really well. To be fair, our dad's in the gym every day. His job is actually in the gym. He works in the gym. He looks after kids from schools, what have been thrown out of like your mainstream schools and all that sort of stuff. So our gym is an off-site provider through them. You know, so that's what we. I mean, that's not my job. I've got my security and all that, but I'm in there with him. But it is his actual job to be in the gym. So he's in every single day anyway.
You're obviously well set up now after, you know, life after boxing. You've got your security company, of course, but also the gym and everything's doing really well. Who instilled that in you, that kind of need to have all this stuff going on after boxing to set yourself up for life?
Well, Pat Barrett he always says, you know, you need to start something up while your name's still big. Don't wait for your name to go small and then start things up. And through boxing, you meet a lot of people in different businesses and, you know, in all sorts of different things. And you get a lot of contact through them sort of people. And people, like when you're successful, people want to know you. So that's the right time, I think, to open a business. You know, if you can think of something what's worth opening, then do. I had my security back when I was boxing as well. And after I finished fighting, I retired actually through injuries. I had to have surgery on both my shoulders. I actually did a stint with Joe Gallagher. I was training with Joe. I enjoyed it down there, to be fair. And I was getting ready for a fight, and honestly, my shoulders there was just a constant ache in my shoulder. So I ended up having surgery, and then it was like, what do I do now? Because I didn't have nothing basically apart from the security. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was lucky, but I'd done boxing from being 13 up to 32 every day. The longest time I ever had off from boxing was probably 4 weeks on a whole sort of thing. I never had more time off than that ever. And that was probably when I was a kid, I broke my hand. So after I'd finished boxing, I didn't know what I was going to do. But my brother had Dave, one of his mates was doing a white collar fight, and they asked me if I'd train him. So I just started doing bits with him, and then before you know it, there was more people coming wanting to train. And then me and my brother said, we'll open a gym. I enjoyed it, and I wanted to be part of boxing. I've been part of boxing from being 13. I'm 44 now, so it's something I've always done. Do you know what I mean? And probably always carry on to do. It's part of my life, big part.
Great stuff. Now, I know he's not in the gym at the moment, but a lot of people want to know what's going on with Scott Fitzgerald, of course, especially with Anthony Fowler in action in a big fight at the weekend. Someone Scott's beaten, of course. What is the situation with him? Are you expecting back in the gym anytime soon?
We don't know. Scott's got a lot of personal problems, you know. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, actually. I don't know if it was, I'd love to say, yeah, he's going to be back. I'd love to get Scott back in the gym tomorrow. He's one of them kids. He's a proper likable lad who you want to just grab hold of and give him a good shake, you know, because he doesn't realise how talented he is, and neither does half of the people that I've seen him fight. It's just like I know I've been around a lot of top fighters, and you just every now and again you just see that glimpse of like, wow, he's something else, Scott. He's got a bit of everything. He's got the power, he's got the timing, he's got speed. He's just got a bit of everything. And half of what he's done in his previous fights is probably 50% of Scott Fitzgerald, you know, because he's never really lived the life what he should have done, which is it's a massive shame. I'd have loved him to have been 100% because I think he'd have been a world champion, I think, personally.
Is there still time for that to happen? Or, you know, I mean, he's not old and he's fresh, I guess, in a boxing perspective.
I hope so, for his own sake, more than anything, because you don't want to be one of them people in the pub, do you? What's saying, oh, I should have done this, I could have done that. Yeah. And if he doesn't decide to come back, I think it's something that he will regret later on in life. So it'd be a shame if he didn't. So I do hope he does come back. Yeah, I do hope he does, but whether he will or not, I'm not sure.
And let me ask you about this weekend's main event in Liverpool. And Anthony Fowler, Liam Smith, great fight. Yeah, great fight. I think, you know, it's a good card as well, like stacked card, but that is out on its own as the one that everyone's really highly anticipating. What do you, how do you weigh that one up?
I think Liam Smith's just got that little bit. I think he's a little bit cuter as well. You know, I think he's technically better than Anthony Fowler. He's been in with better opposition than Anthony Fowler. He's a very tough kid as well, Liam. I remember sparring when I was up at Joe Gallagher's and I rated him back then. Do you know what I mean? He picked his shots really well. He was good on the inside, good counter puncher on the inside. Obviously, Anthony Fowler can't take nothing away from him. Got to see what Shane McGuigan's done with him, if he's smoothed him over a little bit. But I just think Liam Smith will be a little bit too much for him. You also remember Liam Smith boxing Williams, and twice. And he's a class fighter. He's another class fighter, and Liam Smith beat him both times. I just think he'll have too much for Anthony Fowler. But saying that, I think Anthony Fowler could still come back from that because he seems to have that mindset. If he does get beat, I'm not saying he will, but if he does get beat, it's a loss. I think it's something that he can come back from.
And just before I let you go, something that I've always been curious about with various trainers, how easy or challenging do you find it when you're working with fighters who don't have a particularly similar style to the one you had as a pro? So, you ultra aggressive brawlers who maybe don't have the technical finesse that you had, for example.
Yeah, well, we work on all fighters differently, but we work on, I know it sounds stupid, like we work on them differently, but we work on the same sort of things. 9 times out of 10, if a lad who's professional comes over to us, he's already got his style anyway. So it's more a matter of making a little small, I like the small adjustments. Like you watch a lad, as daft as it might sound, he might be throwing his jab and lifting his elbow up. So we'll work on one thing at a time. Do you know what I mean? Like we might work on footwork. You get some kids are coming in, they're standing in front of you, they've got no head movement. Even kids at high level, well, I say high level, at British title level, some of them, they've got no, but they ain't got head movement, and they're not fainting when they're in range and stuff. So it's just little things. It's not massive. 9 times out of 10, they know how to throw punches correctly. They all know how to block the shots, but it's making them block them. It's like everyone knows how to block a jab, but they get caught by it still. They get caught by it by being switched off. So we try and train them to be able to be switched on. We give them different things to do in shadow boxing. We give them different things to work on the bag, so they're not just going through the motions. No one wants to do 6-3 shadow boxing on their own in a mirror. You're only going to be concentrating for probably a minute of them 6-3 rounds. So we give them certain exercises and certain things to work on. So they have to be switched on and working on them things. If you're switched on in a boxing ring and you know how to defend properly, you're not going to get caught that very much. I mean, look at Mayweather. He was very switched on. Tyson Fury is another one. I know he got caught off Deontay Wilder. But Tyson Fury, when he's in there, he's wide eyes, he's looking for, he's fainting. He's very switched on. He's good defense. So, like I say, you just got to be sharp up there, defend proper. Yeah, we work on the small things.
Great stuff, mate. I really, really appreciate it. It's been good to catch up. And hopefully we'll do it a bit more often.
Yeah, anytime, anytime. Next time we'll do it up at the gym. I would have done it this morning, but was in the middle of a session and I completely forgot.
No, it's priorities. I've got no complaints. But yeah, definitely do it at the gym next time.
Yes, no worries, mate.